It's been a few months since Kingdom Come Deliverance has been released, and we have seen a few patches to the game that fix many bugs. Yet there is still no sign of official modding tools from Warhorse. I mean, there was a short tweet from one of the lead developers that hinted at it, but other than that, nothing solid so far. I suppose it is praiseworthy that they actually want to fix their game and not just leave it to modders, unlike some studios out there. Bethesda. Regardless, it hasn't stopped many amazing mod authors from improving the game in any way they can. If you've ever modded Skyrim before, then you've probably heard of the immensely popular ENB series effects presets. Unfortunately, they don't currently support Kingdom Come Deliverance, and chances are they might not ever. But don't go stamping your feet in rage quite yet, because there is a very cool mod out there called CINE-VISION. But what does this mod do, and how could it possibly compare to the sweet graphical goodness put out by Boris Vorontsov? Well, regretfully I must inform you that in terms of sheer intensity, it really can't, but what it lacks in graphical fidelity it makes up for in simplicity. CINE-VISION is a shader preset that runs on Reshade, a program somewhat similar to Boris's ENB series. Using Reshade, you can quickly switch between the 7 different shader presets offered by CINE-VISION, and although CINE-VISION is the mod I'm focusing on, while you're at it, you might as well play around with the default settings offered by Reshade. The thing to keep in mind though is that all of these effects, including the ones added by CINE-VISION and other possible mods using Reshade, stick around anytime you have the game running unless you manually disable them. This means that the menus, loading screens, and HUD borders will be affected by these mods as well as Reshade. Has it ever bothered you that every time you open your inventory you hear the scraping rocks? Or that every time you look at the other menus you hear a pulse-like noise? I'll be honest, it never really stood out to me either, but once the mod book pages like inventory sounds pointed it out to me, the rock sounds really started to annoy me. Besides, the page-turning sounds of the other submenus are much more pleasant. That's exactly what this mod serves to fix. Place this mod in your game files and bam, your Stone Age problems are solved. You can now safely enter and navigate your menus without agonizing scraping and somewhat awkward pulsing. Thanks, Volgoski. With patch 1.3 out, it's clear that Kingdom Come Deliverance devs are hearing all the complaints about lockpicking being too difficult, as they have gone and retextured the lockpicking minigame. I never really had an issue with the lockpicking, but I can totally understand if it was frustrating for you.
Huh? Caught you! If this was for real, I'd be yelling for a guard.
Maybe they'll make pickpocketing easier in 1.4. But just in case the new retextures aren't to your liking, there is another mod out there that does the same thing in an arguably better way. Medieval Lockpicking retextures the lockpicking minigame in its own style that appears to resemble the internals of a lock. It comes in 4 versions: easy, medium, hard, and vanilla. All versions, excluding vanilla, retexture the background of the lock rather than leaving a giant empty space in the background. Depending on which difficulty you prefer, different amounts of lines are added to better separate the different regions of the lock. The vanilla version is basically the hard version with no lines, but the outside trim of the lock remains open, a small detail that could be important for some. The lack of modding tools hasn't stopped some authors from putting up armor and weapon mods onto Nexus. A particularly popular mod currently is Holy Sepulchre gear. Ideally, I would have liked to have actually used the armor, but unfortunately this armor set is pricey. That, coupled with the lack of functional console commands for Kingdom Come Deliverance, made me unable to acquire the set in my own game. I mean, I can find it in the shop, so the mod installs no problem, but I'm afraid I just don't have the 5K required to get it. Oh, and also I'm a terrible thief, so that didn't work out either.
Why are you creeping around like a footpad? Jesus! I see a thief!
You!
From the Nexus page in the character menu though, the armor looks nice. It comes in 3 versions: gold, silver, and replacement. The gold and silver obviously change how the set looks, and the replacement version replaces the textures of an in-game armor set rather than creating separate objects. If you're going to want to buy the Holy Sepulchre armor or any other armor in bulk without having to wait too long for the vendor to restock, a good mod is Quick Trader Restock. This mod essentially shortens the in-game time it takes for merchants to restock their wares to approximately a day. By the same token, if you're going to do some selling, it also shortens the amount of time it takes them to get their money back. This mod is great for people that would rather stare at their wait screens than play the game and wait for the time to pass naturally. Or maybe you just refuse to use any other vendor besides the Rattay Armorer. Either way, I'm not here to judge.
Good God, you look terrible.
That's all the mods I have for this week. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long for modding tools and we can start seeing some mods with more complexity. If you're new here, why not subscribe, and remember that likes and shares go a long way towards helping the channel.
Is that all you got? You'll get what for?